Hello, this is Tia, and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video reading, well, a bonus short story, Marvelous Wonder, which is a Clockwork Chronicles story in the perspective of Scar. This entire story is in Scar's perspective, so yeah. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, well, you might... I don't know how far we're going to get, because these are in specific chapters, but there'll be at least 2 parts. I don't know how many parts there will be. Just depends on how I feel while I read. And finding a good spot to end it. Like, on a cliffhanger, let's say. So yeah. Just go with the flow and see what happens. Let's get going. Scar looked up at the blue sky above for what felt like the millionth time. The sun was slowly inching toward the middle of the sky as he carried another sugar box of materials down the field to where B-Dubs, Gem, and Pearl were building. Josh and Eliza were keeping watch, standing on the walls to get a better view. The 3 hermits had already taken down what remained of the bases. Gem and Pearl had decided that it would be better to have a single base instead. Scar rolled up to where B-Dubs was building, measuring the foundation of the new base as Scar approached. "Thanks, Scar," B-Dubs grinned, jumping down from the wall, running to meet up with his friend. "Is it noon yet?" Scar asked hopefully. B-Dubs chuckled. "Bored?" "A little," the hermit admitted sheepishly, handing the sugar box to the hermit. "I guess it's fair. We don't have much for you to do right now." B-Dubs shook his head. Maybe you should have taken the second shift instead. We're almost done with the first floor." "I just want to know what the impulse are up to," Scar sighed. "I know you do, but if Liam said Rose needed it to be a secret, you should respect that," B-Dubs replied. "Rose knows what she's doing." "It's hard, though. They've been up since dawn working on something before Grian went to join them." Scar looked up at the sky again, partly hoping he'd see Grian flying in to get him a report. He saw nothing in the sky, not even a camouflaged helicopter, which Theodore Campbell had sent to attack the hermits yesterday. Scar shuddered, remembering the explosion he'd heard overhead. Portions of the ceiling of Gem's base had fallen all around him. It wasn't the first time he'd been trapped in a building as it was collapsing. Hopefully there wouldn't be a third, seeing how Gem and Pearl were waterlogging the walls to make sure they make them blast resistant. "I'm sure they appreciate you wanting to help," B-Dubs patted the hermit on the shoulder, hefting the box under one arm. You're a good friend, and they know that. They'll find something you can do." "Yeah, maybe you're right." Scar gave his friend a smile. "What else is there to do when you know 2 groups want to get at us? When we know 2 groups want to get at us. We still don't know much about Mr. A's loyalists, but yeah, Campbell won't be happy to know both Gerald and Stewart are gone." B-Dubs headed to the wall, tightening the straps of his elytra wings. "We need to be ready when they do come." "Do you think we can be ready? After an attack like last time?" Scar looked at the wall, seeing Gem and Pearl finishing the foundation. "They'll try harder. Campbell doesn't seem to tolerate failure well. Neither did Mr. A, and we still defeated him time and time again." B-Dubs grinned. "Gerald almost killed me because Campbell told him to," Scar said softly, still remembering the hungry triumphs in the man's gray eyes, the smell of smoke, the boiling blood, the burning pain as the man hit his mark, determined to never let his prey go. "I've got you back. All of us do," B-Dubs said gently, putting down the shoulder box and walking toward his friend. "Campbell won't get a chance to hurt you again. Not if we can help it. If I can help it, I mean." Scar smiled weakly. "I know." B-Dubs nodded, looking up suddenly when at what sounded like rockets. Scar turned, following his gaze as Green landed gently on his feet. Did I miss something? I think we left Scar alone with his thoughts for too long. Beat-ups teased. Scar chuckled as the hermit continued. We're getting a lot of progress done. Maybe we can finish this in under a week. That's a good plan. Green's eyes flashed with excitement as he ran over to Scar. Liam and Impulse found a listening device in Liam's communicator. I watched Impulse take it apart and examine it. So Liam was right. Scar nodded thoughtfully. Did Impulse find anything interesting? No, but he sent Liam to warn Sam. Green replied. He had me test the portable invisibility detector still. How did that go? Scar said with intrigue, seeing Josh hop down from the wall surrounding them, jogging toward the group. It worked really well. Green grinned. Hardly any issues with it. That's good. I'm sure Steppy will be happy about that, Beat-Up said cheerfully. Anything new you got from them about the secret project? Scar asked hopefully, inching closer toward Green. Green shook his head. They wouldn't tell me any more than I already knew. They sent me to get you. Alone? Josh frowned, catching wind of their conversation. Fossil's base isn't far from here. Green shrugged. Besides, why would Campbell strike again so soon? I don't know. Maybe because you were alone flying between bases? Josh raised an eyebrow. Someone could have seen you. No one did. Green mused. I was careful. Josh let out an exasperated sigh. All right, at least you got here safely. Just make sure someone is with you next time, okay? Green shook his head. I'll try. Josh looked over at Scar. Want me to take you to Fossil's base? Just don't be long, Beat-Up's warned. Even if we don't have Campbell watching our every move, Julius did warn us of a second group. Should only take 5 minutes if we fly, Josh replied confidently. Scar nodded, turning to Green. I'll tell you everything when you get back. Hermit grinned. Good luck! Scar carefully unstrapped himself from his wheelchair, letting Josh help him lean onto him while Beat-Ups folded the wheelchair, handing it to the boy. Scar looked up at the sky while he waited for the boy to grab his rockets, seeing the clear sky overhead. Ready? Josh asked. Scar assented that he was indeed ready as they launched into the sky, and the hermit hanging on tight to the boy, not daring to let go. Are you sure the rocket boosters wouldn't have worked? Scar wondered to Josh. The boy chuckled. There's a reason why they're experimental. Doc told you to be careful. What if you fell out of the sky and hurt yourself? I'd go for help, Scar said calmly. What if you got badly or you can't? Josh brushed. Someone will find me, Scar said confidently. Let's just say one of Campbell's men found you first, or the other group. You just disappear and we wouldn't know where to find you. Suppose you have a point. Scar let out a sigh. I can see why Tony picked you. Josh beamed. I'm only doing my job, keeping you safe. Thank you, Scar replied softly, looking forward, seeing Fossil's base appear. Everyone else was inside, including the 2 people he was quite eager to see. Josh helped Scar sit back comfortably in his wheelchair as the boy strapped the Velcro in place to ensure that Scar wouldn't accidentally fall out. Scar thanked the boy, watching him fly off back toward where Eliza and the hermits would be waiting for him. Once Josh was out of view, Scar opened the front door, wheeling himself into the main room of full space. The hermit found the main room was empty. No one was hanging out on the couches, or rummaging through chests, or looking out the window, waiting his arrival. Silence fell over the scene as Scar pressed the stealth mode button on his wheelchair, cautiously rolling toward the kitchen, wondering if Jelly would be waiting for him to give her a snack. He remembered feeding her this morning when he woke up before leaving with Beat-Ups, Jem and Pearl to start work on their project. Had it really been one day since everything had happened? 2 weeks since Liam arrived to give them a hand? Scar blinked, unsure of the questions, even though he was sure of the affirmative. His thoughts were pulled back to the present when he heard the sound of whispering in the kitchen. The doors were closed, perhaps open just a crack, as he looked around nervously. Clara was typically near where Liam and Impulse had been working so far today to shoo him and Green away whenever they got too close. Where was she now? Where were the other teens? Certainly she wouldn't be far. Then again, Liam was very good at being a protector. If anything did happen, the boy could take care of it. Yeah. Feeling more confident that Clara wouldn't round the corner and catch him, he rolled himself closer to the door. If she did catch him eavesdropping, he could always say that he just arrived and hadn't heard anything. She would never know. Scar smiled at that as he arrived at the door, carefully putting an ear to the wood. From what I heard, things were pretty bad. Lima's voice explained softly in hushed tones. Mr. A was trying to manipulate the Wonder Gem, turn everyone against the YouTubers, especially the townspeople against Stampy. How is that possible? Impulse asked in amazement. Sam wasn't completely sure, but Stampy was able to fix the artifact just in time. Liam sighed. Mr. A got away, but they did catch him afterward trying to hurt Stampy. He never learns, does he? Impulse chuckled. Did they try to figure out how to keep that from happening again? I hope so, Liam admitted. You can ask when it's time. Of course, Impulse agreed. What's taking G so long? I thought he'd be back with the redstone supplies by now. I'm sure he's fine. Maybe he got distracted, Liam assured the hermit. If there was a problem, you would know, right? That depends, Impulse sighed. He can handle himself. Mostly. What are you doing here, Scar? A voice said from behind the hermit. Scar yelped in surprise, nearly knocking his chair over as a hand steadied it. He looked over, seeing Clara carrying a redstone shulker box in one arm, her bright blue eyes suspicious. You startled me, Scar panted. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oi, oi, oi. That's what panted, trying to regain his composure. And here I thought I was quiet. She chuckled. That stealth mode function is quite helpful for you, isn't it? Maybe, Scar said reluctantly. Grian told me that they were ready for me. Just got here. Clara nodded as the door opened. Simple stood in the doorway. Apparently, Grian tried to do one of his tricks again. He's run off. He's with the others, don't worry, Scar said quickly, when worry filled the older hermit's face. Josh dropped me off a minute ago. Impulse let out a sigh. Come on in, then. I've got something to show you. Me? Scar's eye lit up with excitement. Here's what I assume you were supposed to give you. Clara shook her head, handing the redstone box over. Whatever. He told me to go grab some redstone for you. You've got a lot to learn, Clara. It's fine. Impulse smiled at her. Don't blame yourself. He doesn't everybody. He was probably hoping Scar would catch us by surprise. Scar chuckled. Or he heard me complaining of boredom in his thoughts. Impulse laughed. Not much to do when the wall isn't very thick. No, but tomorrow will be better. Hopefully. Scar grinned. I can help with the inside. Good. Impulse gestured for Scar to come inside. Clara, do you think some of the other teens will be well enough to help tomorrow? Any additional help we can get would be great. Blake's doing everything he can to help Luke, Caleb, and Haley. I still think Kate's still a little too young. Never underestimate a 13-year-old, Clara, Liam warned from inside the room. I was only 15 when I chased Mr. A right into a trap. Really? Scar's eyes widened. He never told that story. He did, partly. Liam shrugged as Scar rolled into the room. Just not the part about Dan and I chasing Mr. A into the portal room. We would have followed him if Rose and Eli weren't there to tell us to stay. The boy hesitated for a moment. The two of them used a little bit of hacking to change the coordinates of the portal to send RJ and Mr. A into a prison world. Can you tell me where they were trying to go? Scar tilted his head curiously. Liam quickly shook his head. Nope, I can't tell you that. It's classified. Scar let out a sigh. Don't you trust me, Liam? I do, Liam said matter-of-factly. But it's for your safety that you don't now. If Campbell or Mr. A knew you had some information, you would be in hot water. Lava hot? Scar mused with a chuckle. Yeah, very hot, Impulse said simply, picking something up from the counter. Do you mind if I tamper with your chair a little bit? I want to add something new. Of course not, Scar beamed at the hermit, watching Impulse cross the room, kneeling to one of the armrests as he opened the control panel, revealing redstone wires and cables woven within the chair. You do know I can keep a secret. Campbell would never find out. I know you're good, but I don't want you to be in that situation, Liam said gently, stepping forward so he was in front of the car. I'm sure your friends feel the same way. I know I do, Impulse said, replacing the control panel, fidgeting with a new button before standing. I think we should be set. What new toy did you add? Scar asked curiously. He looked at his friend as Impulse smiled. Portable invisibility detector. It's pretty small and easy to add to any communicator or gadget. Impulse gushed, his brown eyes alight with anticipation. Maybe we should test it, Liam said reluctantly, stepping beside Impulse, pulling out a splash motion. Definitely. Scar, can you press the button and set it off? Impulse asked hopefully, walking back a few paces as the boys smashed the push at their feet. Scar gasped as they disappeared from view. Impulse's disembodied voice chuckled. Scar squinted, noticing a hint of bubbles. No, two, splitting down different directions of the room. Scar pressed the new shiny button, feeling a soft breeze tickle his ankles. Scar gasped again. Suddenly a vapor-like shape appeared beside him. Second one behind. I think it worked. Great, Impulse cheered. The figures moved away, disappearing like a puff of smoke. The range is a bit short, Scar pointed out with a chuckle. I can only do so much, Impulse replied, reappearing a moment later. Liam stood by the kitchen window, near the sink, with a triumphant smile. We tested the range with Korean, but that was the most reliable we could get right now. Still gives you time to speed away or use your rocket boosters. Wouldn't that hurt? Scar giggled. I mean, wouldn't it hurt the person close to me with the heat of the rocket? You'd be safe for a few seconds, though. Enough to get out of there for safety. Rose pointed out. That's what we're aiming for. It would give you some time to call for help and get away before anyone could grab you. Or I can use my force field and just gun it for the trees. Scar met his friend's eyes. That too, Liam nodded as Scar looked over. We'd like to give you more options. Feel free to do with it what you like, within reason. Yeah, Scar agreed, pressing the new button again as the breeze dissipated. He pressed the stealth mode button on his chair as well, turning that off. He hoped Impulse hadn't noticed it. Otherwise, he might suspect the hermit of eavesdropping. Scar brushed the concerning thought aside. He could just say he was being cautious. After all, there were still bad guys who wanted nothing more than get their hands on the hermits. Thank you for adding this, Impulse. I'm sure it'll come in handy. Anytime, Scar. Impulse smiled brightly at his friend. To what happened last time with Gerald, I don't want to chance anyone sneaking up on you when you're alone. I won't be alone. Scar lifted his chin confidently. I do wonder, though. Did Jelly come in here yet asking for snacks? Not yet, but then again, the door's closed. Impulse gestured to the door. You'd be able to hear her scratching at it, Scar teased. Would have happily tended to her if she had. Impulse patted the hermit's shoulder playfully. Not a monster, don't worry. Scar laughed. I wasn't. What else have you been working on? Nothing much, really. Just making a plan, Liam said carefully. I'm waiting to hear back from Sam when he's dealt with any listening devices. Where did you find it? Scar turned toward the boy. Right beside the speaker, Impulse noted. It was embedded. Tiny red little cylinder-shaped gadget. I'm surprised Stampy didn't notice it. I'm not surprised, Liam snickered. You can be quite oblivious. You almost missed it yourself. Guilty as charged, Both nodded sheepishly. Good find, Liam. There's no telling what could have happened if your little troll overheard Rose's plan. It reminds me of when Mr. A added a tracker or listening function in Isaac's communicator, Scar reminded them. He knew we were planning to escape and tried to stop us. I remember that. Impulse nodded. He sighed. Guess I shouldn't be surprised that Campbell would do something similar. At least we're aware, and we can be cautious, Liam confirmed. Mind if I check your Scar, just to be safe? Here. Scar pressed a button as the compartment opened, offering the boy the communicator inside, holding out to him. Liam took it, taking a close look at it. Looks clear. Satisfied, Liam handed back to the device. Anything more I can do to help? Scar offered hopefully, just as he heard a faint sound of a door opening as voices poured through the main room. The others are back! I guess Josh and Eliza wanted to get home. Impulse chuckled, heading for the door as he opened it. Scar followed him, catching Green's eye as they both nodded in silent agreement. He had quite a lot to tell, his friend. Give me just a little bit of water break. Yeah. Scar opened his eyes to find himself standing in what was a town square. It was bright and cheery, with people bustling about, and the sky was piercing blue, with not a cloud above. The sun was high, bathing the town with light. He could hear the chatter of the townsfolk, but he wasn't quite sure what they were saying. Take it, a voice whispered into his mind. Confused, Scar blinked, seeing colorful reds, yellows, blues, pinks, and purples of shops surrounding everywhere he looked. No one seemed to be paying attention to him. Who had spoken? Hello? Scar turned to one of the townspeople approaching him. Were you speaking to me just now? Me? No. I was just going to head to my lab and test something out, the average height man said cheerfully, with a wide grin on his face. It'll only take a moment. Do you want to check out my wares? No, that's all right, Scar replied. I guess I mentioned it. Take care, the man said cheerfully, disappearing amongst the crowd. Almost in a hurry. What's the rush? Scar asked, looking around him again. It was mid-morning, from what he could see as he took in the crowd. He noticed part of the crowd was thinning, showing him the heart of the town square. Scar gasped, seeing a pedestal in the middle of town, stepping up to a glittering rainbow gem that was swirling clockwise. It seemed to glow in the sunlight. It's beautiful, Scar thought, struck by the wonder of how the crystal was floating like that. Take it, a voice whispered again, as Scar jumped. He whirled around, seeing nothing. Spooked, the hermit looked back at the crystal. Walking toward the pedestal, the voice continued. You can spare your friends. You can save them from what's coming. What's coming? Scar froze at the foot of the steps, looking up at the swirling crystal, reflecting rainbow light around him. All you have to do is take it, the voice said, a little more firmly. Take it! Mesmerized, Scar walked up to the crystal, now nearly inches from just reaching up and touching the gem. It looked even more marvelous up close. Would anyone really miss this? Would they even notice it was gone? Scar reached up, plucking the gem from its place, holding it in both hands. The bright green box that swirled around went gray as the hermit heard a low rumbling sound. The sky turned red with crimson clouds rolling in, snuffing out the pretty blue that had been there before. What's happening? What did I do? Thank you, a voice said from behind. Now be a good hermit and give it to me. Scar whirled around, startled to see Campbell standing tall in a dark black cloak, his face shadowed by the hood. The man's pale hand was outstretched. He stepped closer. How did you get here? What did you do? You caused this, the man sneered. The moment you took that crystal from its place. Now Give it to me, or I will make you watch as your friends suffer. Scar's chest constricted as he swallowed, feeling like a stone grip was squeezing the life out of him. Took a step back. Give it to you? You can't make me. Oh, Scar, just how naive can you be? Another voice said from behind him, behind the hermit. Scar whirled around again, startled to see Mr. A leaning against a dark gray box where the crystal had spun. I have to put it back. What are you doing here? Scar demanded, hearing his heart racing in his ears. He was trapped. The townsfolk had disappeared, along with the bright colors of the town. Now everything looked dark and gloomy, glowing with a dark red hue. It's like blood. Scar shuddered at the thought. The same reason you are, Mr. A said smoothly. I'm here to save my people. Save them from you. Give me the gem, Scar, Campbell warned. I won't ask again. My friends are coming, Impulse insisted. Excuse me, Scar insisted defiantly. Mr. A arched an eyebrow. I don't think they'll come in time to save you. Not this time. Suddenly, the ground from underneath him broke away as he plummeted. The hermit screamed, feeling darker, gnarly hands grabbing him. Scar looked up as the light from above faded away, screams echoing and bouncing off the walls, before the hermit jolted awake, sitting upright in bed, his throat hoarse from screaming. The room was dark, with a few torches lighting the room. The curtains were pulled closed over the windows, as Scar tried to steady his racing heart, wiping away the tears that were streaming down his cheeks. Scar? Something creaked beside him. Scar looked over, seeing Liam pulling back the covers of his bed. The hermit noticed in horror as more people sat up, some groaning, some looking startled. Just like him. It was a bad dream, Scar whimpered, not meeting the boy's eyes as he looked away from the others. He felt his cheeks warm in embarrassment, wanting to crawl into a hole and never come out again. It's just a bad dream. You've been having a lot of those recently, Green admitted, quietly, rising to his feet. Are you sure you're okay? Just shaken, Scar nodded reluctantly, as his friend came to his side. I'll be okay. Graham pulled his friend into a hug as Scar leaned in, not trying to wipe away his tears anymore. He let out a relieved sigh as he closed his eyes, hoping this moment would never end, hoping he'd never have to go to sleep again, to have to see the men corner him, where he didn't have to be alone. Are you sure you don't want Jean and I to help? Impulse offered from across the room. I'm fine, Scar replied weakly. And I thought Rand's dreams were bad. Beatham's eyes were wide with concern. They are. Korean looked up to look at the hermit. Impulse has been helping me with it, though, teaching me some techniques. Maybe I should take some lessons, too, Scar chuckled, pulling Green closer. Visit us in the dream world, then. We'll teach you. Green suggested with a smile. I don't know if I can, Scar mumbled, just loud enough for Green and Liam to hear. Feels different. Different? Liam asked curiously. Mr. A and Campbell were there, Scar sniffed, looking over at the boy. They wanted me to hand over some crystal gem, wanted me to take it, but when I did, horrible things happened. Liam got to his feet, walking to the hermit's other side. Like the nightmare you had 2 weeks ago? Scar nodded, letting out a whimper before Korean pulled away, concern in his dark eyes. Every time I fell into the pit, it would repeat over and over again. It always made me feel trapped, alone, like I had no choice. Campbell wanted to hurt my friends, make them suffer if I didn't hand it to him. There's got to be some symbolism to that dream, right? Maybe it's telling you something, Kate offered. I know one of my teachers believed there was meaning in dreams. Scar looked over at Green. Sometimes they are, but this felt different. You said you were holding a crystal gem. Where'd you take it from? Liam pressed. Pedestal. It was going around a green box that turned gray whenever I took the gem, Scar admitted weakly. He watched the boy's eyes grow wide with alarm. He nodded. How long have you been having this dream? Liam's piercing blue eyes met the kid's gaze. Scar felt like the boy was looking directly into his soul, searching for an answer. Gerald tried to kill me. Scar's bottom lip trembled. I don't know what's going on. We'll figure it out, Liam said calmly, putting a hand on the hermit's shoulder before standing. You all should go back to sleep. I'm going to give my brother a quick call. Is it bad? Beatums frowned. Liam didn't meet the hermit's eyes as Impulse spoke up. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it really is just a bad dream, like Green's dream about everything burning. It did happen, Green pointed out. Daddy and my friends were trapped in a burning building. I had to get them out. Oh, Impulse's hopeful expression dimmed. That dream was never clear anyway. Scar looked over at Green. Mine? I could see everything. Every face, every detail. I was in a town square of some kind. People were chattering and having a good time. Going from shop to shop. And I ruined it. I ruined it all. You didn't ruin anything, Liam said matter-of-factly. I just need to ask my brother a couple of questions. Okay, Scar whispered, giving the boy a small nod, letting his words reassure him. He wiped away the remaining tears from his face as he sighed. Sorry for awakening everyone so abruptly. You're all good, Jem said cheerfully. Go back to sleep if you can, Liam commanded, heading for the door. Still pretty late. What about you? And pulled out nervously. I'll be back in a few minutes, Liam replied. Just need to talk to my brother. Just in case. No one argued with the boy. Scar watching his friends start to settle back in bed. Green still stood by his side, concern in his friend's face. Are you sure you'll be okay? I think so. Scar shook his head. I need some fresh air. I'll go with you, Green insisted, quickly looking at the others for a moment. Need help getting to your chair? I got it, Scar smiled gratefully, pulling his wheelchair toward the bed. Scar carefully maneuvered himself onto the chair, securing himself with the Velcro. Let's go. One of us should go with you, Haley warned, having spotted what the hermits were doing, just to be safe. It won't be far. Messiah's is guarding outside, Green said with a reassuring smile. A few steps by the door at most. Promise. Still, she climbed out of bed, limping toward them. You shouldn't be out there alone at night. You don't just have Campbell to worry about. But Mr. A, Scar frowned. Last I checked, he was behind bars. Haley lifted her chin, his confidence. Besides, why would Campbell want to free him? Didn't seem to like him before. He's lost Gerald and Stuart, Green pointed out. Besides, Mr. A is smart. He'd probably be more useful than whatever men Campbell has left. He could be getting desperate. Scar shuddered, looking toward the obscured window. It was just a dream. Dreams don't always make sense. True, Haley smiled at him. Why don't we get some fresh air for a few minutes? Might help you feel better. Scar didn't argue, following the girl out of the room, heading toward the front door. Glancing over his shoulder to see the kitchen door open halfway. Liam was on the other side, talking on the communicator, his voice low and soft. Scar couldn't catch a word as they went outside, the cool breeze washing away all of the worry and fear of the nightmare. He wasn't alone. He was with his friends. He was safe. The morning sun had long since risen when Scar found himself pushing a bookshelf into one corner of what would later be a library. How does this look, Jem? Scar grunted, rolling himself backward. I like it, Jem said thoughtfully, with a lamp and chair that could be a cute little nook. Scar nodded, rolling over to the sugar box nearby, trying to reach down to rummage through the supplies. What kind of lamp are we talking? Table lamp or tall? We could try the tall one first, Jem offered. Is there a blue lampshade in there? Yes, ma'am. Scar pulled out what he needed, watching the hermit push a heavy couch in front of what the hermit could guess with a television in the other room. Do you think the sleepover room should be bigger? Bigger the better, right? She chuckled. I was thinking we'd put it on the first floor this time, to make it easier for you. Oh, thank you. Scar looked over at her, giving her a grateful smile. An elevator for each floor would be better than stairs any day, in my opinion. I wonder if we can make the stairs move, she pondered, wiping her hands together, looking over to see what Scar was doing. That's starting to look good, really good. Of course it is, Scar replied, blazing down what was left. How about a big fluffy rug? Excuse me. How about a big fluffy rug in the center? You know me well. Jem grinned. Scar went back to the box, pulling out what he needed, rolling out the rug, trying to smooth it out with both hands and wheels. The gray rug was soft to the touch, like a woolly blanket. Looks like Pearl's almost done with the kitchen. Jem looked to her left. Maybe we can work together to finish the rest of the floor with the bedroom. I'd love that. It'd be a great way to end a long day, Scar said encouragingly, rolling out of the library. Pearl, come join us, Jem hollered, cupping her hands around her mouth to make her voice sound louder. Pearl came skipping over to them from the kitchen, her long, blonde hair bouncing lightly behind her. We could see if Green and Beat-Ups would like to join us, Pearl asked eagerly. I'll be right back. Jem nodded, heading toward the remaining room. It was large, echoing Jem's footsteps as well as Scar's rolling wheels. The walls were plain, hanging a few paintings Jem had found in her old storage. Whatever hadn't been smashed to pieces or despawned. Scar watched as she began counting the perimeter, going around the room, passing the large windows across from the door. How many beds do we need? Scar pondered, out loud. There are 6 hermits living here, 9 teens and 3 adults. Sias and Clara had offered to sleep in rooms nearby. Pearl's escort was sleeping in one of the towers, having guarded the place since the bases were attacked. 15, Jem answered the question before she sighed. Why are you asking me to do math right now? I think we can make 16 beds work here in this place. Even with the chair? Scar mused, gesturing to his wheelchair. You can have a spot by the window, she smiled. Yes! Scar cheered, rolling out of the room, arriving at the crafting table and chest. He found what he needed, crafted the beds quickly, and rolled back. I got it! Excellent! She pushed the chest to a corner of the room, setting up a small counter with a brewing stand. Why don't you start by placing down some beds? Is there enough room? Scar found, taking in the room. We can make more room if we need to, she said cheerfully. Scar nodded, heading toward the window. He placed down a few beds, making sure they were far against the wall, as far against the wall as they could. He worked his way around the room, finding that, sure enough, Jim was right. There were enough space for all the beds, while leaving breathing room. The middle looks a little empty, Scar noted thoughtfully, heading toward the door again, just when he heard a scream from above, followed by a thud. What's that? Jem looked up at the ceiling with alarm. Pearl, help! A muffled cry sent Jem running past Scar, bolting for the hole where the elevator was going to be. Grabbing a rock, Scar followed. Stay down here, Jem warned the hermit, following her. I want to help, Scar insisted, hearing another scream of something smashed from above. You will. Just get some potions ready in case we need them, she said quickly. Scar nodded, deciding it was best not to argue with her. Get away from him, Pearl's voice declared. A deep male voice Scar didn't recognize bellowed in alarm before it was silent. Krian, are you hurt? Scar didn't hear a response as he wheeled back into the sleepover room, pulling out the spare medical kits that Jem had worked on earlier that morning, with False and Stress helping her. He pulled out a few water bottles, popping them into the brewing stand, relieved that the table was low enough for him to reach. Krian, behind you! A voice cried. Scar glanced over his shoulder, hearing a scream followed by shortly after. B-dubs! A familiar voice replied as Scar forced himself to look away. He knew he could get up there with his rocket boosters if he wanted to. What could he do? The girls had it under control. Pearl's escort wasn't far to help. Besides, someone needed to prepare the potions in case there were serious injuries. He let out a heavy sigh. You wish you were up there too, don't you? A voice said from behind. Before Scar could call out, a hand was over his mouth as he felt something cold snap around his forehead, humming to life. Scar let out a groan, struggling to free himself. Not a word or thought, Hermit. I will know. The voice hissed in his ear. Promise me? Scar nodded as the man let go of him, pulling his wheelchair back. Scar struggled to push himself forward, but his vision was soon filled with light as they let out a cry for help. Unfortunately, I'm going to leave you there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any thoughts or theories about what might be happening next, feel free to let me know in the comments. Yeah. We'll see how this goes. I'll see you in the next one, whatever that might be.